All right, I think we're live. Go ahead, wait a second just to make sure everything's caught up. But first off, I just want to say welcome back to another episode of IBNW News. If this is your first time here, we're a show that just likes to talk about news from a Christian standpoint, especially things that have to do with Christianity. If this isn't your first time here, highly encourage you to like, share, and subscribe, as it really does help out a ton. And we're following up with the last video that we did, which was the case about Mica Miller and her husband and just the tragic death surrounding that. First off, I want to caveat this with, if you have children in the room or if you are struggling with any thoughts of harming yourself, please, number one, don't do it. Seek help. There are people around you. Contact a church, contact a mental institute, contact somebody, because it's not worth it. But just viewer discretion advised for this. Let's go ahead and start bringing this in. So Mica Miller bought a gun and told police, I'm about to, I don't like saying that word on here, in a 911 call. So let's go ahead and just keep on reading. Same thing. That's Mica Miller. That's her husband or surviving husband, John Paul Miller. Let's go ahead and start reading. So it said here in this latest update, the Robeson County Sheriff's Office in North Carolina presented a detailed report of clear and compelling evidence Tuesday morning showing that Mica Miller took her own life, including a 911 call in which she told a dispatcher, I'm about to kill myself and I just want my family to know where to find me. Now, I did read through that, listen to that call, and it's definitely hard to listen to something like that when you know somebody's life tragically ended shortly after. So that is out there if you did want to listen to it. I'm not going to play it on this stream, but let's go ahead and keep on reading. So the quote here says, first, let me say on behalf of Robeson County Sheriff's Office that our sincere condolences are being sent to the family and friends of Mica Miller. Robeson County Sheriff Bernice Wilkins, yep, that's right, Wilkins said in a media release on Tuesday, this incident has garnered much attention across the Carolinas and beyond, and I want to ensure everyone that a very methodical investigation was conducted by our criminal investigation team and crime scene investigative team. He explained, while adding that rumors and conspiracy theories have muddled the narrative of what happened to Mica Miller ever since her husband, Pastor John Paul Miller of Solid Rock Market Common. Once again, this website is still shut down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and told his congregation that she had died by suicide on April 27th. So that kind of, just to caveat back what we last talked about, it's important that we as Christians make sure that we are letting the authorities go through their investigation. We don't want to quickly assume things based on the little knowledge that we have and the hearsay that we have in the internet, because honestly, it's the internet. Anybody can be making up anything when it comes to this. So we need to make sure that we are staying, one, grounded in the facts, and two, not making public declarations based off our assumptions. We can have our own opinion. We can formulate that own opinion, but we need to make sure that we're not projecting that out there as facts. I know a lot of people are very heated up about this just because of so much of the sadness surrounding this. And we'll get into that as we continue on. So the quote continues and says, unfortunately, rumors and conspiracy theories were spreading quickly and assumptions were being made. However, in the end, we must make decisions based on the facts and evidence that have been gathered. While I know it's not what many people wanted to hear, the evidence is quite clear and compelling, and we are saddened as anyone that this had occurred. So what it sounds like is the police did their investigation. They were very, very confident to go ahead and say, hey, look, this was the result. It was a self-induced death. It wasn't a murder or anything like that. And once again, I know there's a lot of conspiracy theories going around that, initially they were saying he did it, John Paul, her husband. Other people were saying he hired somebody once it came out that he actually had an alibi where he was away. He was down in, I think, Charleston, South Carolina, I believe, at the time that this happened. But the police have done their investigation, and this is what they're coming up with. I don't know if anything's going to get cracked later on or what the case may be, but this 911 call, when you listen to it, is kind of telling. So we'll go ahead and keep reading here. So there are many factors that we have reviewed that occurred over an extended period of time that are probably related to the reason for this investigation. But in the end, sadly, a tragic decision was made by Mica that ended her life. And I just want to, once again, kind of hit up on that topic. Like, this is not worth it. Please, there are so many people that love and care about you. If you are an individual who ever struggles with mental mental health issues, or ever thought about harming yourself, please do not do it. Reach out to friends, reach out to family, reach out to a pastor. It is not worth it. There is so much beauty and freedom in Jesus Christ when you realize the mission that he has for us on this earth, which is to go out into all the world, make disciples of all nations, and proclaiming the gospel to them. You can't do that if you have harmed yourself and you are no longer on this earth, and you are rather with him in heaven if you are a believer. Let's keep on reading. It says, Wilkins said approximately at 2:54 p.m. on April 27th, Mica Miller called the Robeson County emergency 911 dispatcher and revealed that she was about to harm herself or kill herself, and she wanted her family to know where to find the body, and then she hung up. Police traced the call to the Lumber River State Park in Orem, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, North Carolina, where they searched for Miller with the help of a drone. They found her black Honda Accord, and inside they also found a Sig Sauer gun case with the passenger seat of the vehicle and a box of ammunition in the center console of the vehicle. A receipt inside the vehicle showed that the gun was purchased from a pawn shop on that same day. And I'll bring you over here. We actually have some if I can get rid of these ads up here. So we actually have some photographs of what was going on. So if you could see here, this is the Lumber River State Park where the incident happened at. If you continue, these are police kind of laid out their timeline of what happened and how it happened. So we see here 10:13 a.m. She's seen on her Ring camera leaving her residence. At 11 a.m. she's seen on her Ring camera arriving back. And then 11:38, really quickly, she leaves her residence again. Looks like she was dressed in a different outfit this time around. So we continue on. 12:12, she's seen at a store surveillance walking into Dick's Pawn Shop, which is located at 1852 Mr. Joe White Avenue in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. At 12:13, we see this camera footage of her buying the gun. There's the gun in the case right there. There's her. Looks like she's smiling. And, honestly, I kind of want to take this as a lesson here, just because of my background in the military. And sadly, we deal with suicide awareness training all the time, just because of the stuff that soldiers happen to go through or military service members go through. Most people, when they are about to harm themselves and end their life, they usually are in a place of acceptance. You'll see a classic sign is you see somebody who is troubled. They are very troubled by something. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they just seem almost happy. They seem content. They seem like those issues aren't bothering them anymore. And that is a real big warning sign, because that means they've kind of accepted what they are going to do to themselves. And they see that as their final answer, their final release, which, once again, I cannot say it enough. This is not the way that we should be ever going about things. Please find a pastor, find a friend, talk to somebody. It is not worth it. So let's keep moving on. 12:34, Miller seen leaving Dick's Pawn Shop after purchasing the weapon and some ammunition. And there's actually a question I saw a commenter kind of bring up about this on the last video that we did, and it proves a good point. If Mica, who was admitted to mental hospitals or mental institutions before, was there any type of record on that? And I'm not sure what the gun laws in every single state, but I feel like this should be kind of like a nationwide sweeping thing. If you've been put into a mental institution for any period of time, there should be something that pops up on the background check, saying that this person is still no longer stable or anything like that. And then once you're clear, okay, I got it. But if somebody is still going through this or has done it before, I feel like this is something that should pop on this. She shouldn't have been able to purchase this weapon. Just once again, something that we need to kind of keep in mind. Was this person doing the right thing? I'm not sure, because I don't know the laws in South Carolina, but it does beg the question to be asked, like, why? Why is this a thing? Why is this allowed? Somebody who has been checked into a mental institution for mental health reasons, why are they allowed to purchase a weapon? It shouldn't be that way. We move on. At 13:06 or 1:06 p.m., Miller's black Honda Accord is seen traveling on a highway 501 near 4 Mile Road in Conway. 1:27, she pulls into a gas station where they say she stopped in, got some gas, got a drink. And then at 13:35, she is seen leaving the store after buying drink and gas, like we said. And then at 2:45 p.m., the 911 call was made from the 843 area code number. Mica Miller asked if her phone could be located, and then she threatened suicide. Mica then hung up the phone before further information could be gathered about the dispatch, and the telecommunicator tried to call Mica back multiple times, but was unable to make contact. All right, so now that we kind of got the timeline, let's go back here to the Christian Post article with the update. So continuing on, it says, as investigators kept searching for Miller, they noted that a quote, an individual who had found a bag near the water edge with an identification belonging to Miller. So they found this badge, they found her ID. They also stated that he heard someone crying and a gunshot while he was fishing. Now, I did listen to this man. He didn't want to be filmed with his face in there, but apparently that's exactly what he said. He heard some crying. And then he heard the gunshot. He mentioned that if he knew where she was, or he could pinpoint, he would have gone over there, said something to her, but he heard some crying. And then that's when the gunshot happened, which is another reason, once again, why some people were asking questions on this of why was she crying? Because as I said before, sadly, when most people have committed to ending their life, they're usually relieved at that point. Who knows what goes on in the final minutes of that? And regardless, it's just so sad. So Miller's body was eventually found in the river. Other belongings, including her phone, were found, and a search of the phone's late pastor's wife showed that she searched on Google for national parks near me. And once again, this is kind of just adding to the evidence, because I know a lot of people online on Twitter or X, social media, Facebook, all these different things are being very adamant that she did not do this or something to that matter. But a lot of this evidence is pointing to that, which is why, I really go back to us having to trust in the government authorities to do these investigations, as hard as that is for some people. That is biblical. Romans chapter 13, the law is there for a reason. And you have no reason to fear unless you are doing something wrong yourself. But we let the law investigation go forward. We let the people who have the experience, the expertise, and the knowledge go forth and then conclude these investigations. I can't reiterate that enough. So it says the investigation also revealed that Miller and her estranged husband, John Paul Miller, had been separated and were involved in the legal system, as we talked about the last time. This information led to the investigators confirming the whereabouts of Miller and a female, which is just also sad, a female that he is allegedly romantically involved with. Investigators were able to confirm that both individuals were not in North Carolina on the night before and the day of Miller's death, the release said. So basically, he wasn't there. Like we said, he was at an event. I think they said it was down in Charleston, South Carolina. And apparently he was with this other woman, which is just sad. Once again, I said it a whole bunch in the first video. I'll say it again. Why was this man a pastor? Not only, I don't know anything about him and his qualifications prior to, but as a leader inside a church, he was a youth pastor to Mica beforehand when she was only 14 years old. Basically, you would have to assume grooming her into this relationship. He cheats on his wife with her at some point in time, and then those two get married. This man was disqualified from ministry based on that. And then look at this. He's separated from his wife, and he's allegedly, now it says allegedly, but he was romantically involved with already another woman not too long after all this was going on. He had no business being with another woman, regardless of the situation. I know me as myself, I've always said, if I'm pastoring a church and I have to do some counseling, I would never counsel a woman one-on-one. And that's not because I'm unfaithful to my wife, but that's because there are certain barriers and certain protections that you place on yourself. One, to resist temptation. Don't let temptation grab a foothold. Don't put that in there. And then number two, you don't know what people are going to say to that afterwards, and crazy rumors can start going out. So it is just a bad practice, especially no matter the reason, for this man who is married, but yet having issues with his wife, is with another woman at this time. Whether he was romantically involved or not, it's alleged. We don't know. It's still wrong, no matter the situation. Let's keep reading on. It said, just hours after her body was found, Pastor Miller announced to his congregation in a viral video, which we showed last time, that his wife died by suicide, even though investigators had not yet confirmed an official cause of death, which was strange to a lot of people. So Pastor Miller's decision to preach before making the announcement and the manner in which he relayed the news led some to speculate on that his wife had been murdered. And like we said, I wasn't able to find that video still of the full sermon. I wonder if it's still out there or not. But they said he's cracking jokes, he's laughing, he's, acting like it's not affecting him at all. And then all of a sudden at the very end gets very somber and, just kind of strangely announces this, once again, preemptively saying what it was before it was actually the investigation was concluded. Let's keep reading. It says, in an interview with the Christian Post, however, Pastor Miller explained that his late wife was diagnosed with bipolar 2, schizophrenic, and dependent personality disorder. We mentioned this in the last time, talking about how she was trying to manage it with lithium, which is a bipolar disorder drug that you can take, very, very heavy drug, sadly, but it's supposed to help with it. And he said as long as she took her medication, his wife would be fine. Mica, however, had a roller coaster relationship with her treatment regime. And then it continues on, some stuff that we talked about last time, but just to catch you up for anybody that's new here, he alleged that she would complain about how the medication would make her gain weight, cause her to slur. And earlier this year, the wife of a well-meaning pastor's friend who had no understanding of the mental illness, offered to pray and believe that Mica's mental illness would go away. And sadly, that's why we don't make these presumptions. We don't presume upon God and say these things. We let God deal with it. We let the mental health experts deal with this, that God has given that capacity to these people to deal with. Said that incident, he said, stuck with Mica, and she started to believe that she no longer needed the medication. The rest of this is just kind of going on about what we talked about the last time, how he took her to probate court and they wouldn't admit her. This is just such a sad, sad situation, no matter how we look at it. Like I said, some number one thing that we need to take away from this is if you know somebody who is in this state where they are dealing with some mental issues, do not ignore it. Number one, be in prayer for them. Number two, look for ways that we can help, especially if you think somebody is at this point where they feel like they may harm themselves. Like I said, some warning signs that we look for is that definite warning sign of somebody who's had such tragic life events. They've been a wreck, they've been a mess, and then all of a sudden they just get overcome with contentment, relief. They almost seem happy. And that's because, once again, normally they've resolved themselves. They found the answer to their problems. And sadly, that answer was the wrong answer, which is, harming yourself to the point where you are no longer on this earth. It's just very, very sad, this whole situation. Another thing that this kind of begs to question is a lot of people were accusing this man right here, the pastor, of being an abusive husband, whether that was physical, whether that was mental. So you kind of see both going on, getting thrown out there. We do have family members definitely say that he was mentally abusive and manipulated her multiple times. We also saw some she called police. Actually, let's go ahead and bring this up over on this tab. So we says here, and this is from a local news station or News Nation Now, it said Mica Miller called the police multiple times in the months before her death. And it just makes you wonder, what happened in those phone calls? Because what could have prevented this? I mean, this is something that the police need to look at and what they do with their protocol. What can they do to kind of see these signs so that way they can stop this from happening in the future? It said Mica's death had been ruled a suicide by the authorities. Friends and family said they believed her marriage was abusive, and she died not long after serving divorce papers to her husband. And that's basically it. And this kind of elaborates on what was being said there. But once again, this is just a tragic situation. Number one, we need to pray for this family. We need to pray for everything that they've been through. Number two, we need to make sure that we as Christians are not feeding into the rumor mill frenzy and we are not making assumptions and calling them facts. And then number three, if you know anybody or if you yourself are in a situation where you're dealing with mental issues, take it seriously, seek help, intervene for somebody who is going through something like this. It is a very, very serious thing. And just kind of like this article says right here, if you or someone is struggling with thoughts of suicide, please reach out to the National Crisis Line by dialing 988 to find help in your area. We can't emphasize that enough. All right, with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and end the live stream on this, but just wanted to give this update. As always, let us know your thoughts and concerns. Please be kind in the comments. I know some people last time I had to delete some comments because some people were being very um, doing what I was saying, asserting assumptions as facts, and honestly, some people being kind of cruel about it too. Please be kind, otherwise it's just going to get deleted off there. Anyways, this is Tim, IBNW News. If you have anything, please let us know. Once again, if there's more that follows on this, we're going to go ahead and follow up with it. Until then, we'll see you on the next one. Just very, very sad situation over all this.